Okay.
then.
Okay, that's fine. So let me share my screen. So my idea was that of creating a logo using Google Drawings. Actually, this activity was part of a larger project that I had started with my first year students. Well, for those who do not know me, my name is Sabina Moscatelli, and I'm a teacher in an Italian school. I teach to teenagers from 14 to 19 years of age. The starting point of the project was a quote from Edward de Bono. I first met Edward de Bono in the VIA 2020, of which I was a member, and his essays on critical thinking were illuminating to me. And this is the quote I started from. Creativity and lateral thinking have exactly the same basis as humor. As you see, it contains three keywords: creativity, lateral thinking, and humor, which is a key ingredient when entering a class of teenagers. So this situation, this is the starting situation of my school year. I'm a very busy Italian teacher with a few problems to solve, already quite tired in the months of September. So the situation I had to face, the first issue, was that of having in front of me a bunch of students I had never met before. And I wanted to avoid more traditional icebreakers, such as the traditional rounds, because they are boring, and because I needed to promote more authentic knowledge. So this is the typical situation heading for failure, we know very well, and for which a new approach is needed, hence the need of lateral thinking. Students' engagement was the second problem I had to face. We know that these days they tend to get bored quite easily. So I wanted to I wanted something to keep them awake, at least during the first days of school. And I decided to resort to magic, to use magic in class. The assignment was for them, that of creating a logo, a major element of surprise, since none of my students had never worked on a logo, which was for them a completely new experience. So I can say that I found a solution to my problems in creativity, because I'm deeply convinced that it is the skill they're going to need most to shape their future and to find their way in life. Creating a logo means that through symbolism, they are invited to explore a complex process, and they need to talk about their personal experiences, their personalities, their hobbies, and also a bit about their feelings. They had to reflect upon the use of colors and to translate a certain amount of information into a single design. During the process, this preliminary process, I explained them why creating a personal logo is important. They had to take time for self-reflection. They had to build a sense of self. It was an occasion to explore their uniqueness, to develop confidence, and to increase, to a certain degree, a clarity about their personality. And for the first time, they were confronted with with project-based learning and a real-life task involving high-order thinking skills. So let's create a logo. That was our motto for the first weeks of school. These are the steps of my project. At the beginning, we focused on the exploration of well-known logos and brands. We analyzed the logos, we described the lettering, the graphic elements, we discovered a bit of curiosities and histories behind the logos we use every day. We focused on the specific language needed to talk about brands and logos. In the second part of our job, we focused, which was the core activity, this one here, we focused on drafting with pencil and paper. Drawing should be a spontaneous activity among teenagers, but I have observed over the course of the years that it very often goes lost more and more often if your students are not attending a vocational artistic school, as is the case, for example, with some students in Italy. But they very often instead tend to abandon drawing, which is a pity. So I thought this was a good occasion for rediscovering it. In the second part of the core activity, I invited them to create a logo using Google Drawings. This was for me also the occasion as IT lead in my school to introduce the tools of Google Workspace. All the students in our school have a Google accounts in the very first day of school. I create them during summer. So this was a good opportunity for me to introduce the various tools of Google Workspace and also including Google Drawings, which is maybe the least used, the least common tool in my school. The final part of the job was the presentation to the class and finally a printout of color stickers for their exercise that they applied to their exercise books. So wrapping up my presentation before doing a brief tutorial on Google Drawings, these are the ingredients needed for my project: Google Drawings, paper, pens, and pencils, a bunch of lazy students, some spoonfuls of tired teachers, very easily found in Italy these days, and two final ingredients: Colorpic Eyedropper, which is an extension for Google Chrome, and Design AI. Why this? Because Also Beauty has its share in this project. It's part of the package. And Design AI, that I will show you in a couple of seconds, was the right tool to invite them to pay attention to beauty and to harmony. Okay, now we can move to Google Drawings. So in order to activate Google Drawing, you just need to go to Drive, and under New here, you click here, and from the drop-down menu, you move your cursor down to More, and you find Google Drawings. Of course, we have the need to give a name to our activity. I'll call it Spark Saturday. As usual, we have the sharing features, which are always something useful for students. The canvas we have here is a transparent one, which is the one I needed for my activity. The important thing now here, you have a menu, a context menu, which means that it changes when the icons change depending on what you have selected. It's whether text, images, or shapes. Here we have a space, both left and right, that we can use to drop objects, drop drawings or lettering, whatever we want. But we have to remember that the export file will only take this part here, the canvas, into account. Before starting, it's fundamental that we choose the right setup, that is the dimension. We decide upon the dimensions of what we want to produce. So here we have page setup. I decided to have a custom setup using, for example, pixels, and I'm going for 250 per 250. It's better if we set the dimensions before adding shapes. Otherwise, it will get stretched or deformed when saving our final job. If we want to change the background, we just right-click wherever we want on the page, and we can change the background either using custom colors. And for this reason, you would use the color picker I showed you before, or using the colors you have here, either full color or gradient. Let me briefly show you Designs AI, which is this one, where you have wonderful palettes of colors to choose among here, or to create your personal ones. And once created or once selected, you can then export them using your color picker. Okay, let's go back to this. So I will leave my background as such. Now I will start creating my logo. I have decided, for example, to create a logo for the drama club of my school. So I have chosen an elliptic shape like this. I have my fill bucket here. I go for yellow. I can change the border. I'll make a more intense one. I can select the thickness of it. Oops, sorry. Okay. I'm going to insert now some word art here. Before adding the second word, I will change the font. You have more fonts, which means that you can choose among as many fonts as you want. As for me, I know already what I'm going for. I've decided for this Ultra. Okay, so I will add it to my choice. You see it here. I will reshape it a bit. I will duplicate it because with the usual command, because I need to have 2 words, and it will be drama days in my case, right? Now I want to improve a bit my lettering, so I can right click on the words and go to my format options. And here I can decide on the transparency, the distances, you see. I have various options. I have shadows like this. This is the one I want to use, the angle. So I have several options. This will go. I will also apply to this one, to shadowing. Okay, it will be more or less the same. I can also decide to create a special effect myself, to drop shadow. I can create it myself, for example, duplicating once again the words and maybe changing the colors. Okay, so having a series of effects, as you see. Maybe I'll do it like that, which is a bit better, and so on. Okay, right. So I have my drama days. Now I see that I want to have something more artistic, so to say. And I see that these 2 words have, for example, to D in common. So I will duplicate this. And I keep this aside because it will be needed later on. And I want to change a bit the lettering. Like this, for example. So I can choose maybe to have a bigger D used for both words. Like this. I reshape it. Maybe I can change the colors of my D. Like this, or maybe something brighter like this. I may add some shadowing, the same. I may create my effect by myself, deciding upon that like this. Now I'm doing this in a hurry, but there are no limits to the possibility. There's also the possibility of introducing graphic elements and creating vectorial shapes to be used as a background of, as I told you, using personalized custom colors, inserting the hex code. And finally, we can look for some icons, some graphic elements to be inserted here. For example, I don't know, some masks. So insert image. I can either search the web, like this, for example. I can edit here if it has a clear background. Yes, a transparent background, that's fine. Maybe I can arrange it here. I can reshape it a bit. I will incline it a bit like this. I can also reshape these, one or both as I want. And as you see, in 5 minutes, a very simple logo is created. You have the possibility of creating a group and moving all the objects together. And I will just show you in a couple of minutes the various logos that were created by my students and by myself as well. You see this one, using Google Drawings, which was a very interesting experience because, as I told you, they were surprised themselves by the excellent output of their creative activities. And I can also see that they are constantly using them in their presentations. And in most cases, I've seen that also in their Google accounts. There are no longer pictures or Bitmojis, but their personal logos. They know that they are allowed to change them over the course of these 5 years that we are keeping us company together in our school, according to the paths they will follow during the years. And that's all.
Svina, thank you very much for running us through Drawings. It really is an underused tool, isn't it, inside Google Workspace?